Hey guys, this is YourDoom from YourDoomPoker.com, and I'm making this video to give you some information and a free sample about what you can find in my newest video series. So I've been around for a while, and I'm sure if you've been following me or if you've seen any of my other videos, then you probably already know all about me, what I've accomplished in my online poker career. What you see up here on the screen is my last 850,000 hands, about 850,000 hands played over the years, and you can see it's in big blinds won versus hands played. And if you actually do the math here, you can see that my win rate is about 10.0 EV BBs per 100. So I've been winning at about 10.0 BBs per 100 over my last 850,000 or so hands. It's also worth noting that 93% of this volume was played at NL 600 with $3, $6 blinds, NL 600 or higher. And if you've seen my other videos, then you probably already know that in 2010 I had the #1 highest earnings of any player on Pokerstars at NL2K at 1020 no limit on that site, according to PTR, and was #2 in the world on all sites at NL2K. But what you may not know about me is that unlike other poker coaches, I'm actually also a qualified teacher. I started out as an electrical engineer, and then I actually went back to school and got my master's degree in secondary math education and did teach high school math for about 3 years before deciding to quit to play online poker full-time back in 2008. So enough about me. Let's talk a little bit about this course. What you'll find in this course are some brand new lines and tactics that are being used by really almost no one except me and a small group of my private students. And we are absolutely crushing our opponents in today's games with these new lines. So what we're really going to focus on in this series are underused, extremely profitable lines that you absolutely need in your game to win at a high level today. This course will also show you how to become much more precise, because let's face it, I mean, poker is getting harder every single year, and if you want to win at a very high rate nowadays, you need absolute precision in your play. So throughout this course, I'll be showing you how to exploit and dominate almost all opponents using the absolute freshest, most advanced, and useful technologies available as of today. And what I mean by that is, some of you may still not be aware, but my Hold'em Manager 2 HUD package is actually regarded by some as one of the most advanced on the market today. In addition to using all the latest technologies and stats, I also have some custom-built stats that I'm pretty sure that no one else has access to except me and, of course, you, my course members. And that's another feature of buying this course. After you purchase this course, or any one of my courses for that matter, you can go ahead and download a free copy of my Hold'em Manager 2 HUD with easy import instructions and start using it yourself. You'll also be entitled to unlimited free upgrades for life. So whenever I put in some new stats, make some tweaks, improvements, additions, whatever I do to the HUD in the future, you can always download the newest copy without any additional fees. Also, when you go ahead and purchase this series, or any of my series for that matter, you will also receive a lifetime membership to the private comment forum of that course, where you can ask me questions about the videos and concepts, and have me answer them. You can also read all the previous questions and my answers, and also interact with other course members as well. So the thing is, when you go ahead and purchase one or more of my courses, unlike other video packs that are on the market today, you're not just purchasing videos. You're purchasing lifetime access to a community which is dedicated to learning, study, discussion, and growth. So in addition to being able to discuss poker in real time in a 100% noise-free, misinformation-free environment, I also like to routinely add bonus videos to my packages over time. So I also want to point out this course is unlike any other course that I've made so far. As the first time in my entire video making career, I'm actually releasing a series of live play videos with commentary. So literally, for the first time ever, you'll be able to see my complete unedited game in action at the tables. You'll be able to see my different playing styles, all the way from Maniac mode to Super Nit mode. You'll be able to see us playing against full stackers, mid stackers, pretty much doing it all, and thoroughly discussing all of it. And it's worth mentioning, I really spent a lot of time on these live play videos. Unlike other coaches who make live play videos and they just play and record and just comment on the fly, I did mine completely different. Maybe I'm a little OCD about making the highest quality videos that I can possibly make and trying to give the student, you guys, the best possible experience. But the way I make a live play video is I do it in several stages. What I do is I just record raw footage with absolutely no audio, and this way I can really focus 100% on playing my A game rather than splitting my attention between playing and then talking at the exact same time. After I have that footage, I go back and I watch it. I kind of skim through it. I gather all my thoughts on key and also not so key spots. I then watch it again while adding voice commentary and occasionally actually pausing the video if I need to extend some commentary on a particular spot. And then I actually go back and watch it a third time, listening to myself, and then actually even adding additional thoughts and comments in the form of callouts. That's that little text bubbles that you see up on the screen. I mean, it is a lot of work. It's an exhausting process, but I really think it leads to the absolute best possible finalized product that I can produce. So that's really all I have to say about this course. If you'd like to see the course outline, please come to my website, YourDoomPoker.com. You can check out the course outline. You can check out testimonials on my site as well. So as promised, I'm now going to leave you with a little free sample. This is just a quick excerpt of one of the many videos that are in this course. So in this next hand, we're going to be on the button, and we're actually going to be playing in position this time versus a very hyper-aggressive 3-better. So we're going to go ahead and make our standard open on the button. Player we're playing against a lot, we have a very aggressive dynamic with, is going to 3-bet us from the small blind, and the action is going to be back on us. So this player is 3-betting about 16-18% on average, but versus us, he's really coming after us. We estimate it's a little higher. I'm estimating, given my versus hero stats, that he's 3-betting me about 25% of the time in this position, which is really not that unusual. Some players have that aggressive of a dynamic, if not more aggressive. For me to be stealing from the button and then for every 1 out of 4 times him 3-betting me, it's really not that unusual at all. So there is actually a strategy video in my previous series on how to correctly lower your fold to 3-bet on the button and how to defend a wider range. So hopefully you've seen that. If you haven't seen that, don't worry, it's not really going to affect anything with the instruction in this hand. But regardless, I am flatting my 9-8, and I'm going to play my hand in position against an aggressive player. So first we'll just go through the hand, and then we'll look at the math behind the hand, and then we'll discuss other possibilities, other holdings, how you can use this line, how you should be using this line in this spot. So here, let's get the information first. We always need the information first. So he's 3-betting us 25%. We know that. Let's pull up his C-bet pop-up. I see here he's super aggressive. Total C-bet and 3-bet pot, 92% on the flop, 65% on the turn, 57% on the river. He's very hyper-aggressive with 3-betting, with C-betting and 3-bet pot. Okay, that's good to know. I see here, well, he does have the raise flop and triple barrel bluff badge. That does not apply to this situation. He does not have this badge here, which would indicate that he 3-bets and then triple barrel bluffs. But he doesn't have the opposite badge either, meaning that he doesn't ever do that, so he's more likely in the middle. We don't really have an edge either way. He doesn't do it. He doesn't triple barrel bluff in 3-bet pot an extraordinarily high amount of times or an extraordinarily low amount of times, so he doesn't have that badge at all. So now that we have our information, let's proceed. So we defended a 9-8 against a 25% 3-betting range. Of course, he's going to C-bet. He C-bets 92% of the time. We'd be shocked if he didn't C-bet. We call. We actually turn 2-pair. He makes another aggressive barrel. I decide to jam because I now have 2-pair. And he folds. So, okay, this hand is actually pretty simple because we turn 2-pair. And if this was the end of the video, you'd be saying, well, that didn't really tell me much. Of course, we can shove 2-pair in this spot. I mean, everybody knows that. And I agree. But that's not really why I'm making this video. I'm making the video because what if you don't have 2-pair? What if we had different holdings here? What if we had just a draw? Or what if we had a weak 1-pair? That's what we're really going to look at in this spot. So, of course, I have 2-pair here. I want to shove to protect my hand. I mean, he could have picked up a really high number of draws in this spot. We're also getting value from aces, kings, ace, queen, king, queen. He's not going to be folding in this spot. Any ace of hearts, we don't want to give a free river card to. So of course we're going to jam 2-pair in this spot. But what if you had a different holding? What if you had ace of hearts, jack of clubs in this spot, and you were floating the flop and picked up this turn? How many of you would go ahead and just jam all your money in on this turn in this spot? How many of you would do that instead of calling? So that's what we're going to look at next. So first, let's look at the math on exactly how wide this player is with this 3-bet percentage, with these flop and turn c-bet stats. How wide is this player really, and how frequently is he ever going to be able to call a turn shove in this spot? From assuming he sees you as not a maniac bluffer, how often is he really going to be able to call this turn shove, given these characteristics? That's what we're going to have to look at first. So first I have what I consider to be a normal polarized 25% 3-betting range. I mean, we have his value-ish hands up here. If he even is 3-betting ace, jack, and king, queen. He probably is if he's 3-betting that wide. We have, maybe this player is 3-betting all pocket pairs because he's just one of those guys who does that. A lot of players love to 3-bet weak aces, maybe even weak kings. So I gave him a reasonable polarized range. It could be a representation of a 25% 3-bet range. So assuming he's starting with a 25% range, assuming he's c-betting then 92% of that on the flop, and then he's betting an average of 65% on the turn. So generally when he 3-bets, gets flatted, and then double barrels, he still has about a 15% hand range. So he's made a very large investment here with his 3-bet preflop, his flop c-bet, and now his turn c-bet, with 15% of all starting hands, which is about 199 combos. He has about 199 hand combinations at this point. So just to be clear, I mean, he has now voluntarily put in $835 into the pot, which is about 42 big blinds, almost half a stack. 42 big blinds in his pot with 199 combinations on average of starting hands. So next let's look at, if you shove all in, if I was to just jam all in over this turn barrel, I mean, how many hands can he call my shove with? And this is what I came up with. If he just has a naked flush draw, for example, if he just has an ace of hearts with no other draws, I mean, he has to fold. He doesn't have proper odds to call at that point. So, I mean, this is like, he has obviously his premium range. I mean, if you forget what the board is, here it is. Queen of hearts, 9 of spades, 7 of hearts, the 8 of hearts is on the turn. Here's our cards in this scenario. If he made a straight, he's going to call. If he has sets or over pairs, he's going to call any queen. Any top pair, he's going to call. These are weighted down to 25%, which means if he made a flush on the turn with his ace x suited or king x suited, he's going to call. But I really don't know what else he can call with him. If he has pocket sixes on this board, how can he call a shove at this point? I mean, he put in 42 big blinds. Is he going to call an additional 58 big blinds with just pocket sixes? I think most players are folding that spot. Even with pocket tens, I mean, if he did double barrel with pocket tens, can he really just call shove? I mean, he could be drawing dead to a flush already. So let's review. I mean, if he's in this spot, he's now invested 42 big blinds with 199 hand combinations. He's very, very aggressive pre-flop, on the flop, and on the turn. He has 199 hand combinations, and he can only call shove with what I determined to be 59 hand combinations. That means he can only call shove here 29.6% of the time. Let's round that up. Let's say 30% of the time in this spot he can call shove. That means he's putting in, regardless of what your hand is. I mean, obviously when we have two pair, I mean, we actually beat some of this range still, and we even have outs if we don't have the best hand. I mean, he's calling with like all these hands up here. I mean, two pair already beats those. So that we're not discussing like how to play the two pair hand anymore, but now we're discussing the fact that when he makes his play in this spot, if you shove all in, even if your cards fell on the floor, even if you didn't have cards, let's say your cards fell on the floor and got eaten by a dog, okay, you can still shove all in for plus EV. I mean, you have to look at the math. But the point is, if you jam all in, I mean, you're going to win his 42 big blinds. He's going to fold 70% of the time in this spot because he's way too aggressive, and he just doesn't have the firepower. He doesn't have the holdings to be able to call shove in this spot. So 70% of the time, you're taking his 42 big blinds. If he does call 30% of the time, most of the times we make this play, I mean, we're not going to be jamming turn with air. I mean, I'm using that as an extreme example, not actually having cards. It's not a general play we're going to make, but we're going to look at, well, what if we do have some kind of draw, some kind of combo draw? Let's say, for example, we have ace of hearts, jack of clubs. I think a lot of players wouldn't be comfortable before seeing this video. They would not be comfortable just jamming in that spot, but you absolutely should be now. In fact, let's go ahead and use that example. Let's change our holding to ace of hearts, jack of clubs, which would be a pretty decent draw to pick up on the turn. Nut flush draw with a gut shot. So I changed this to make sure it was just hearts being counted. As you can see, well, if he is calling, I mean, all we have is ace high, so we have the best hand 0% of the time. But we do have equity. We have a big draw. We have equity versus range. We have 27.451% equity. If we do, in the minority of cases that we do get called, we still can win 27.5% of the time. So what does that mean math-wise? Well, to summarize, 70% of the time he's folding, and we're going to win 42 big blinds. 30% of the time he's calling, and we're beat, but we have a draw 30% of the time. We're going to win 27% of the time. We're going to win the all-in, and we're going to lose 73% of the time. So what does that mean for our overall expected value? Let's take a look. So now it's math time. So if you like math, you're really going to enjoy this next few minutes. As you remember, I am a former math teacher, so we are going to get into some math right now. So you did hear me say that, well, 42 big blinds, we're going to win 42 big blinds from his stack. That is going to be our overall hand profit. But given that there's already dead money in the pot, including our own, just looking at this one play in a vacuum, what is our expected value to go ahead and shove turn? So actually, if you remember, there was 1225 in the pot, which was the dead money plus his turn bet. It was a very big pot, $1,225. So it's 61.25 big blinds. We're doing all this in big blinds. If he is folding 70% of the time, we're going to win a pretty nice chunk right there, 70% of the time. And then we have to compare that to the 30% of the time we actually get called. And if you remember, we have our 27.5% equity. In which case, in the times we get called, we will win 27.5% of the time, and we will profit 119 big blinds in this one play, given the dead money that's already in the pot. And if we get called and we lose, we're risking an additional 82 big blinds from our stack. We've only put in 18 big blinds at this point, so we're jamming in another 82 big blinds from our stack, and we're going to lose here 72.5% of the time. So you do all this math, and you see that, well, if you click the fold button at this point versus this player with your ace high, nut flush draw, I mean, that would be 0 EV. But if you go ahead and jam, and he is folding 70% of the time, you can see that we have plus 34.9, we'll call it 35 big blinds of expected value to make this shove. So this should really jump out at you and illustrate how powerful of a play this is. Just jamming with ace high here, nut flush draw with a gut shot, against a player who has a very, very wide range, who's very aggressive, who's put a lot of money in the pot with a very weak range, who is going to fold 70% of the time. This is a massively, massively profitable play that's being far underused out there in the poker community. Now, I mean, of course, no one's really going to fold. They're not flush draw. So you do probably still have value by calling, for example. I mean, it's going to be some plus EV value to call. I mean, that really depends on players' tendencies. I mean, the problem with this play, with this player, if you call, I mean, maybe he bluff shoves river, maybe you miss, maybe he check folds. So it's really player dependent as to what the best play is. I'm just showing you the value of making this turn shove is going to be massively in your favor. So I also said earlier in the video, well, even if we had no cards at all, our cards got eaten by a dog. He doesn't know that, of course. What if we have 0 equity? What if we have no cards, we have air, we have like 4 deuce offsuit, we can't possibly win when we're called, we have no outs, and we jam anyway? Well, against this particular player, who is, well, remember, we're doing a pretty extreme example. I mean, he has 25% starting range, he barrels 92%, he barrels a turn a lot as well. Against this player, if you had no cards, you had no equity, and you jammed,